So in this video, we're going to talk a lot about what it means to be a polynomial. So poly means many and nomial means terms. So polynomials are expressions with many terms. So just to kind of reiterate the things that we've learned, usually we'll have something that has 3 terms and we call that a trinomial. So here what we have is actually a trinomial, but you could also call it a polynomial if you were to just say that it has many terms. It does have more than, one term. Something that has just one term is like maybe just x squared. It's a standalone term. And so we call this a monomial. So mono, I'll just call that mono. If you have 2 terms, call that a binomial. And if you have many terms, like I'll make something up. So 3 terms, as we can see here, is going to be tri. And then if you have more, then we just call them polynomials. We don't call them by the numbers anymore. After 3 terms, we're just going to call them poly. So you can have as many terms as you want. Maybe let's make this to the 3rd power plus 1. I'm making numbers up. So you got 4 terms. You got more than 4 terms. However many terms you want. And so in this case, polynomials do have a set of rules they follow by. They usually have variables. So in this case, usually we see x's. So they consist of variables, or they can consist of variables. They usually have exponents that are along with them. They also have constants. So those are just numbers. Like 1 here is a constant because it doesn't have like an x next to it. Another thing that you'll notice is that polynomials often are written by highest degrees. So this is x to the 2nd power, and then this would be x to the 1st power. So the 2nd power is coming up first. And what we call this is the degree of the function is the highest degree of the function. So the degree of this function has to be a 2. So this is the highest degree. So this is the degree of the function. So this is your highest degree or highest power. And then the next part is the leading coefficient. The leading coefficient is the number in front of the variable with the highest degree. So once you've located the highest degree, so in this case x squared, then in front, whatever the coefficient is your leading coefficient. Okay, and those are pretty much the main components. So polynomials just mean many terms, and they are made up of variables, exponents, and constants. But what we're going to realize is that they often have like either plus signs or negative signs. We need to know how to combine them as well. So we're going to add in some operators or operations. So addition, subtraction, multiplication. We're going to leave division for next time, but there is also, you can divide with them. So let's get into simplifying expressions. This is going to feel very familiar to what we've done before, but anytime you are simplifying polynomials, so there are many terms here, you're just combining like terms. So if they have the same base and exponents, you can combine them. So in this case, you're adding these 2 sets of polynomials. And if you're adding them, you might want to match up which ones can add together. Like the x squares, they can combine. So that would be 19 plus 7. So that would give me, let's see, 19 plus 7 gives me 26x squared. Notice I didn't add the exponents. I'm just adding the coefficients in front. And then the next thing I could add is probably the 12x and the 10x to get 22x. And the next thing I could probably add is the 12 and the 13, the constants. So 12 plus 13 gives me 25. And that would be my final answer because I can't combine x squared with an x to the 1st power with the constant. So there's nothing else I can combine here, so this would be my final answer. Now this next problem has a minus sign in front of the parentheses. And in this case, I am going to be subtracting, but it might be safe if I distribute the negative sign first and then combine, so that way I don't miss the negative sign when I'm subtracting. So I'm going to rewrite this a little bit different. Notice that there's nothing in front of here, so I'll just bring down what I already have. So negative 18 squared plus 4x minus 16, and get rid of the parentheses because it's a little redundant if there's nothing in front. So this negative sign gets distributed, so I have negative 15x squared minus 4x plus 13. So I've switched all the sign in the second parentheses. And I have no more parentheses, so I can easily combine like the negative 18x squared and the negative 15x squared combined because they both are x squared. So that combines into negative 33x squared. And then I noticed something. The 4x and the negative 4x, the x to the first power is canceled because they are opposite signs but same coefficients. So they're going to cancel, so I don't have to worry about x to the first power. And then I have a negative 16, my constant, added to my positive 13, so that makes a negative 3 when I combine them. And these are not like terms, so this would be my final answer. All right, let's move on to our next set of problems. So with this one here, I can't combine what's inside, but I could distribute what's outside. So if I were to distribute this negative x squared, let's see what we would get. Now this x is to the positive 1 power. So if I multiplied this x with this x, that would give me x to the 3rd power because I would add the exponents. But don't forget the negative sign that was here. So the negative's in front and I added the exponent, so I got negative x to the 3rd. And then I need to distribute this negative x squared to the positive 5, so that would give me negative 5x squared. Because in this case, the constant is just a number, so it'll just sit in front of the x as a coefficient. Now these two I can't combine because this is x squared and this is x to the 3rd, so this would be my final answer. All right, let's move on to part D here. So this one here is there are 2 polynomials here, so I do need to FOIL in this case. So I need to multiply this x with this x and to the negative 4 as well. So negative 3 times negative makes this a positive 3. And this x times this x makes it an x squared. This negative times this negative makes it a positive, and 3 times 4 makes it a 12. And I'll bring down the x that was in front to begin with. All right, now I'm going to multiply the negative 5 and distribute. So negative times negative make it a positive 5x, because there's a 5 here and an x. Negative with another negative make it a positive 5 times 4 is 20. Now from here I have multiplied everything out. I'm just going to combine like terms, like these two combined. So I have a 3x squared plus 17x plus 20. And that is it. I can't combine anything else. All right, so this next one here, I have a lot of things in front of the parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute first into the parentheses. Like this 2x, I need to distribute. And this negative 5, I need to distribute into the other parentheses. So starting with the 2x, I would have 2x squared, because there's a 2 here. X times x gives me an x squared. 2x times negative 1 make it a negative 2x. And then this 5 that I would distribute ends up being a negative 5x minus 15. All right, so from here I can see that the middle terms combine. So I really have 2x squared minus 7x minus 15 that I'll just bring down. So I've combined these two and brought down the other terms. So this is my final answer. All right, this one here gets people all the time. So when students see this problem, they usually distribute the square and then leave it as their answer. So this is the wrong way to do it when they distribute the square. And the reason why is because of this minus sign here. So you don't want to distribute the square at all because you'll end up missing some terms. Instead, one of the things that we've learned is anytime you have like a factor and there's a minus or a plus sign inside and it's being squared, or maybe it's raised to the 3rd power, or the fourth power, whatever power, you should write it multiple times. So you really have 2x minus 2 times 2x minus 2. So if you notice the inside here has a minus or a plus sign, then make sure to write it as 2 terms if it's squared. You'll notice that when we FOIL this out, you will have more terms. So if you were to distribute this 2, you would only have 2 terms. But if you FOIL this out, you'll notice we'll have more. So 2x times 2x gives me 4x squared, because 2 times 2 is 4. X times x is x squared. 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. All right, I'm going to distribute the negative 2. So negative 2 times positive 2x is negative 4x. And negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Notice how there is a middle term here. If I combine them, I really have 4x squared minus 8x plus 4. So I brought down these two and I combined these two to get the negative 8x. If I had only squared this guy, I would have only gotten this part. And if I squared the negative 2, I would have only got this far. I would have missed out on the negative 8 if I didn't FOIL it out instead. All right, so this is my final answer. So that is it for this video. Remember, down below are some extra practice problems if you want to try out. They are worth some bonus points, so feel free to challenge yourself if you're up for the extra practice.